Welcome back, radio entrepreneurs, listeners, and fans. I'm producer Nathan Gobes, filling in for Jeffrey Davis this morning. I'm excited to introduce the two hosts of this segment, Marc Z of Marc Z Legal Staffing and Marc Furman, Tarlow, Hart, and Rodgers. Welcome, gentlemen.
Thank you, Nathan. Great to be here.
Nice to see everybody, and thrilled and looking forward to hearing from my partner, Al DeNapoli.
Great.
Me too.
Yes,
Me too.
Our next guest is Al DeNapoli, partner at Tarlow, Hart, and Rodgers. Al, you've been on the show before several times, most recently to discuss De Bovino Winery. We're very excited to have you back to talk about your practice and how that also combines with your experience running the winery.
Well, I'm glad to be back. Always nice to see Marc Z and talk with him. And of course, my longtime partner, Marc Furman. I think we've been working together at Tarlow, Hart, and Rodgers for since 1993, if I'm correct, Marc?
January 28th, 1993, but who's counting?
Seems like yesterday, right?
Does
That's
seem like
great.
yesterday.
That's
I
right.
think in 1993, I drank Al's wine for the first time. And I think about yesterday, I think I had a glass of Al's wine most recently. So
28 years of drinking my wine, and look at
that's right.
what it's done to you, Marc. You know?
Right. Right.
Well, January 93 was just a few months before I was even born, so I guess this is where I should step out, and I'll let you gentlemen carry the conversation from here.
Well, thank you, Nathan. And Al, great to have you on the show and see you. Marc and I were talking before the show. You have an unusual background in that not only are you obviously your practice, you're a litigator, proven one of the best. You also, though, are very well respected in the hospitality space. And so you now represent a lot of owners and people that really are dealing with hospitality related issues during this COVID time, including yourself. And I just thought maybe you could share with the listeners some of the challenges and some of the solutions you've gone through during this time.
I'm glad to do that. If I may, I'd just like to start with a little bit of background that, when Marc and I first worked together, Marc stepped in on a small litigation department that included myself and one other part-time litigator. Marc assumed the position quickly as chairman of the litigation department. And Marc and I have worked closely together on a number of cases. I'm essentially a trial attorney. I've tried cases in both the district, probate, and mostly in the Superior Court, both before judges and juries. And that's primarily what I do, not unlike Marc. Marc and I's practice areas overlap in that. We both do a lot of shareholder disputes, partnership disputes, general contract disputes, corporate governance issues. And so Marc and I have worked closely either together on cases or separately, but always sharing the advice and knowledge that we both bring to the table in litigation. Part of the litigation early on, back even before Marc and I started working together in '93, I was asked to settle a dispute with TGI Fridays and their neighbors back in the Back Bay on Newbury Street. A young lawyer went down there not knowing what to expect, but knowing it was a dispute. And that's what litigators do. They resolve disputes. I went down there and worked things out between the neighbors and management. Went to the hearing that was held with the licensing board. And I still represent TGI Fridays to this day in Massachusetts. So something that started just because there was a dispute between neighbors in a restaurant has blossomed into a practice of hospitality law, which I didn't really know I was going to go into. But, a lot of things I always talk about, life is like a pinball game in some ways. You just pull back the lever and the ball goes and bounces here, bounces there, and you're not really in complete control of where it's going to go as much as you shake the machine so you don't void it. And it just bounced into the hospitality area. And since I represented TGI Fridays, I thought I could represent a lot of restaurants, and I've done so. With that, I've grown my practice from restaurants to a lot of hotels in the hospitality area. I've represented a cruise line, international cruise line relative to hospitality, and a number of things. But not just in the hospitality area. The disputes have taken me all the ways to the appeals court relative to issues involving underlying hospitality issues, but more so conflicts between the parties. So it has been an interesting involvement.
Well, Al, can I just say something? And this is what leads us now, because your expertise is so key, especially to business owners and people involved in the hospitality space with their businesses, because of the challenges raised by COVID. And just people are looking to go back to restaurants, but I want to be safe, they say, and what are the best aspects to do? Restaurateurs need people back to come back. Cruise lines, all different kind of travel businesses, they're trying to plan. Hotels, I think I read about one of the major hotels, they've only been at 10% capacity. So what are some of the trends that you're seeing, the importance that you're seeing in terms of, as you advocate for these businesses and you deal that can hopefully get them back to some kind of normalcy that you're handling in your practice?
Yeah, the restaurant industry was one of the hottest hit during COVID. And not only did, I think the statement is that a third of restaurants had closed and not coming back. They are now facing not only the pressures of the patrons coming in and having to deal with whether they mask, whether they need to produce vaccination cards, what the situation is, but the restaurants are facing staffing shortages. So they're in a double bind. They obviously want to bring in people, and certain people still haven't gone to restaurants, although the facts show that restaurants are not an incubator for COVID. For one thing, restaurants have, through all their existence, is dealt with sanitary and health concerns. I mean, their whole issue is trying to keep food and drink safe for their patrons. So when COVID hit, they implemented certain things that would protect patrons more than other places. And so, but patrons still are susceptible to a concern, I said, about what they would be going into. But now they're also facing staffing shortages. So as much as they want to bring in patrons, they faced a lot of times with the staffing shortage that even if patrons would come in to the extent that they could, there's a shortage of staff. So I know places that, have cut their hours down, cut the days down considerably because of the staffing shortage. I have places that would love to open in new areas, but can't do so because of the staffing shortages. So one of the big things is definitely facing restaurants is the staffing problems. And I know that restaurants are working hard to try to bring in people, looking at wages and other benefits. And so this is something that, they work with specifically. On the legal side of it, I don't really get involved in the staffing issues because that's more operational. But on the legal side, I deal with many of the things that happening illegally with the licensing, changes in licensing, leasing issues. And, I not only have the legal background of working in hospitality for a number of years, but I was a selectman in my town of Walpole for 6 years. And as a selectman, we sit as the licensing board for the town. So I sat on that side of the bench as licensees came up to us with the issues that had to be addressed by the license licensors, if you will, and worked with them on that end and the Alcoholic Beverage Control Commission. And then recently, as you alluded to earlier, myself and my 4 cousins went into the restaurant business, and we opened a winery called Di Bovino Winery in Walpole, Massachusetts. And we opened up in January 2020, 2.5 months before Mr. COVID said, too much fun in there, we're going to shut you down. And we had to face all the issues of the COVID restrictions ourselves. So it has been interesting to give me a vantage point from both the legal, the administrative side as a selectman, and then the operational side as Di Bovino Winery, that I think allows me to bring a unique bit of experience to my clients in the hospitality industry.
I think that's an important point that makes, you really unique, Al, is that you have the perspective of, a seasoned lawyer. I won't say you've been around forever, but you've been around for a long time. And also as a business owner in the hospitality industry. I don't think there's a lot of as many people who have that kind of experience, and I do want to disagree with you, which I, as you know, I like to do from time to time, but it struck me as your reference to pinball machine and the ball bouncing from here to here struck me as much more random than what it is to develop the kind of niche you've developed in the hospitality industry. So my take is that, you build an expertise in a particular area, not by, handling one case, but handling the cases you have the opportunity to work on in such a way that the people you represent sing your praises to other people in the industry, and one client leads to another client, which leads to another client. And that's what you've successfully done through your excellent work for each of your clients to develop this reputation and expertise in the hospitality world. So I'm anti-pinball.
I appreciate that, and maybe the analogy doesn't go as far as you're taking it, but I just bring it up only because entering into the legal world, when I graduated from law school, I did a clerkship and came out and wanted to be a trial attorney. I never thought that I'd be doing hospitality law and representing the restaurants, hotels, cruise ships, and the like. I wanted to be a trial attorney. I wanted to be in the courtroom. I wanted to stand up in front of a jury. I wanted to argue the cases. And those are still some of the highest points of the legal career that you can ever do, is to stand in front of a jury and argue your case. And that's what I wanted to do. So, but the pinball bounced me into hospitality, and that's all. But once you're there, you need to take it to where it goes. And I've been fortunate to be able to have that practice grow and take it in different directions. Now, as you said, not only because of all I've done, but my now operations, but also being as a selectman and working, from that side of the bench and being the licensed person who has to administer the licenses in the municipality.
I mean, Al, can I just say that your expertise, and again, as you say, you've now so many people come into certain areas that there's definitely different trails, but you've now really garnered an expertise in hospitality and working with restaurants and getting licenses, and the challenges of working with municipalities to get the licenses and to be able to help them operate in a challenging time and help advise them in terms of other issues which they're going through. So thank you for your expertise on that and sharing that with some of the issues we're dealing with.
Folks in the hospitality industry, they have the matters that are unique to their industry. But then they have the same problems that are in every industry. You know, the real estate problems, the leasing problems, the employee problems, you know, the contract problems in general. So Al's experience and expertise as a business litigator is there, but in addition to that, he has this specialized knowledge in the hospitality industry for the problems that's unique to them. And now with his additional piece of as a business owner in the hospitality industry, it's just it's a great combination.
Absolutely, and that's something. Again, there's so many issues now, Al, that and I think that as a listener myself and as somebody who has a business, it's so important to have somebody with that experience who's in the trenches that, as Marc said, knows all the periphery issues, but also really understands inside and out how this climate is and how to deal with it.
Yeah, and you know, and it's even being a business owner in the hospitality gives you that unique look into the hospitality business. But I've never been a business owner, although, you know, a shareholder in the law firm. Being a business owner in the trenches, like we are in operating and in leasing and financing and dealing with customers and dealing with purveyors and whatever, brings another unique, you know, sense of to the business litigation I do too. So I can understand the issues and the pressures that business owners experience on a day-to-day basis. And I think I can bring that to my work with them.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you, Al. Thank you for sharing your expertise. I'm sure these problems and pressures, like you mentioned, that the hospitality industry and industries overall are going to be facing will continue to adapt as COVID and employment shifts throughout the coming months and into 2022. If listeners or viewers want to get in touch with you at Tarlow, Hart, and Rodgers, how can they do that? And maybe also give a plug for the winery as well, if people want to find out more about that.
Well, thank you. Yes, my phone number at the law firm is 617-218-2024. My email address is DeNapoli, and probably the best way is to go on to the Tarlow Hart website and pull up my not so handsome face, and it'll give all the contact information instead of me trying to spell out DeNapoli here. But I certainly can be reached by just plugging that in, phone calling me. Di Bovino Winery is out in Walpole, Massachusetts on Route 1, and it can be found by just Googling in Di Bovino, DeBevino, a blend of three families, DeNapoli, Bevilacqua, and Arpino, who are all family and cousins and been making wine for over 45 years for ourselves. You know, one of the unique things is that the outdoor seating that is going to be an issue as we keep on going on, not only through COVID, but I think through the experiences that restaurateurs and municipalities and customers have seen, that they enjoy the experience of outdoor seating is going to be a challenge to municipalities, to restaurants going forward. And that's something that is unique and that will continue and very much involved in. We're fortunate that our location is in a large parking lot. So we were provided with an opportunity to expand it as much as we could. We're not encroaching on the municipalities' premises at all. So we have a large tent, outdoor patio, and we have used it, I think, to the benefit of our customers, and will continue to do so. So,
and let's also point out that the wine is excellent and reasonably priced.
We make our own wine. The grapes are directly from Suisun Valley, which is a little southeast, but contiguous to Napa Valley. And you start with a great source of grapes, and you can't be much better in this country than getting it from Napa Valley region. So, thank you.
Thank you, Al. And Marc Furman, how can people reach you at Tarlow, Hart, and Rodgers?
I can be reached at mfurman, Furman, at tbhr-law.com or at 617-218-2025.
Thank you. And Marc Z of Marc Z Legal Staffing, how can people reach you?
First of all, you can Google Marc Z, M-A-R-C, and the letter Z, and we'll come right up, or Marc Z Legal, M-A-R-C-Z legal.com, or 617-338-1300.
Great. And of course, both the Marcs are on our show for regular segments on radioentrepreneurs.com, as well as YouTube, Spotify, LinkedIn, and all the other channels we stream on. If anybody wants to get a more in-depth or hear a more in-depth conversation about Al's winery, Di Bavino Winery, you can also head to any of those places that I just mentioned to find his previous interview that I think was over the summer, and find out more about that there. In the meantime, thank you all for listening and joining. This is another segment from Radio Entrepreneurs.